Hello, my creative friends. Welcome back to the channel. I am Shannon and I am so glad you're here. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found my channel. If you're a newer subscriber, thank you so much for joining. I actually just passed 100 subscribers this summer, which was so exciting to me. I didn't expect to actually hit 100 subscribers anytime soon, so thank you so much. Most of you who are newer, I think, found me through my recent ADHD and bullet journaling episode, so you will be happy to know I'm going to be giving an update on that today. And if you have been here longer than that, I am so glad you keep coming back. So my channel is all about creative living. I am a full-time artist. I paint and I work from home in my living room. And I am here to really just encourage you and give tips and advice based on my own creative journey and things that I've experienced as an independent business owner over the years. So yeah, today I'm actually trying something new where I'm planning on doing a couple different things within the same episode. So first, what I am doing is actually shuffling my Oracle card decks. I have two Oracle card decks here. I have the Rumi Oracle and I have the Sacred Creators deck. And really what I love about these is kind of like when you're looking for a little bit of inspiration or guidance, just a little like something to break you out of your day-to-day routine. I like to pull cards and read what they say and look at the pictures and just kind of see if there's some message there for me, something to inspire me, something to spark my imagination, or even just to give me a little hug from the universe. So I like to pass those along to you as well. So I'm going to be shuffling my Sacred Creators deck and I'm gonna pull a couple cards. All right, so let's see what we got here. Ooh, interesting. I've gotten this card before and I got it at a time where there was a big shift happening in my work. So it says, shift the way to new potential. And it's green with this awesome golden shape spiraling towards the center. And what I'm taking from this is a new chapter. There are new opportunities, new potential, if you are open to seeing them, if you are open to looking, if you are seeking actively something new. Especially for me, this means a lot to me today because I'm home today for the first day of my kids being at school and my husband being at work. So I have the house to myself for 6 hours, which is amazing. I have loved being a stay-at-home mom for so many years. And now that they are both in school full-time, I am seeing this as a new chapter, as a new opportunity to do more with my art and with my channel and with all of the things I want to do. I have so many things I want to do. So that's a great card for me to get today. And hopefully you might see something in it too that helps you. All right, I already shuffled my Rumi deck, so I'm gonna pull a card from that. It's hard not to look because they have beautiful images on the back and then they have a really nice quote or thought on the other side. All right, let's see what we have here. Ooh. It says, the blood angel. In the midst of the darkness, a moon appeared with its brilliance. In opening to receive, you must empty what has been. Grace is not about an exchange of equal measure. You will receive according to the great generosity of life itself. More shall be offered in compensation for what you are willing to release. Allow for a new influx of energy. So both these cards today are talking about shift and release, movement of energy, making room for something new, making room for something different. And this card is speaking to me very loud and clear about things on my own personal journey that I've experienced. In opening to receive, you must empty what has been. You can't keep piling on top. You have to start releasing. You have to start letting go and making room and clearing the way. I think that's a pretty great message for today. Okay, so what I would like to start with today is a little bit of a creativity pep talk. I know the cards, like that's a little bit of a lift in the creative spirit, but I also just want to speak to you, creative people, and give you some encouragement today from what I have been experiencing. So today I made a reel this morning on Instagram, and it's using the Vanilla Ice song. So it's like, ice, ice, baby. And I hit 3 points above my head and I said, if you want to make better art, you have to practice, practice, practice. Just like, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. And fun fact, I have performed at Carnegie Hall, and you have to practice. If you are expecting to ever stand on a stage that big and amazing to perform, you need to practice. If you are expecting to grow as an artist, you have to practice. And I actually wrote this caption that I don't have it in front of me. I would read it to you if I had it in front of me. But it's really talking about how we expect to be able to just start and be amazing at anything. And what we struggle with is coming to terms with the fact that to get better, you have to practice. I know the old saying, practice makes perfect, which maybe you've heard. I would say that is incredibly outdated because we all know now there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. It doesn't exist. But practice makes you better. Practice makes progress. So my encouragement today, my pep talk for you is, if there is something that you want to do and get better at, practice. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but I think it's what you need to hear right now. It's what I need to hear most days because I want to just sit down and be amazing. But a lot of times when we are looking to get better, to improve, to see growth and progress, what most people don't see is what we're doing behind the scenes. We're practicing, we're trying new things, we're messing up, we're making messes, I'm not going to say failing because I don't think failure is actually a thing either. I think in failure, we're always learning something. We're always seeing something from a different perspective, and we are actively making a decision to try again, even if it didn't go the way that we planned. So I want to encourage you today, or going forward, if you are looking to start, if you're looking to improve, there is a very simple way to create a practice. It can be art, it can be movement, it can be cooking, it can be anything that you want to do. I know for me, anytime I'm trying to start a new movement routine or habit, I just want to start running. I want to like go out and run a mile, but my body doesn't allow me to do that because that's not where I actually am physically. So I say start small. Set a 5-minute timer. Take out your sketchbook, start the timer, and draw for 5 minutes. Doodle. Just put something on the paper. Maybe you might look on Pinterest or Google and find like a tree challenge. Draw a tree every day. Draw different trees, or practice drawing the same kind of tree. And you know, each day you work on something different, whether it's shading or the shape or details on a leaf or a branch or bark. There's so many ways to practice. And when you're wanting to see growth, you need to show up consistently. All right, it doesn't have to be for this long stretch of time every single day, but maybe you set aside 5 minutes a day, or 1 hour in the afternoon or early evening once a week. You know, practice doesn't have to be this thing that takes over your life, but if it's important to you, you prioritize it, right? So you don't even need a fancy sketchbook. You don't need fancy pencils or pens or ink or markers or paint. Just take something that you already have and sit down and start practicing. Just doodle. And I know that might sound silly, but it's not really what you're practicing that matters. It's what's happening to you while you're practicing. That's what matters more. It's not necessarily your progression from day 1 of making a tree to day 10 of making a tree, but it's in the process of you sitting down and devoting your mental energy and your creativity and your physical presence to this practice. That is where you're going to see probably the most surprising progress. The thing that I have found most transformative about my own personal art journey has been that I sat down to paint a couple years ago after experiencing a very difficult traumatic loss. And I just needed something that I could do to keep my hands busy and zone out. And I knew that painting in general helped me feel better. I knew that in past experiences, I could pick up a brush and paint and I'd be like, oh, this is nice. So in that moment, in that time in my life, I just wanted something that would feel nice, feel okay. So I started painting, and what I found again and again, the more I sat down to paint, the better I felt. And after a while, it wasn't so much about processing grief and sadness and anxiety and heaviness. It was about finding myself present in that moment and getting excited to try something new, to make a mess, to just kind of let go of anything that was going on around me in the outside world and just be present with myself, with my materials, and just get curious and really like dig in. Like, I call myself a creative explorer at times because I see making art as an adventure. Like, I have no idea, even if I approach my canvas with a plan, I have no idea what's going to happen because I could take some turns. I could have some stuff dripping down the side that I was not planning on happening. And I've learned to go with it. I've learned to roll with it. And that has taken practice too. To get better at something, you have to practice, and you also have to learn to be okay with imperfection, right? We said perfection doesn't exist, improvement exists. But a lot of times we struggle with the practice because we get so hung up on where we think we should be. Mentally, physically, creatively, your technique, like, we want to be further. So that's where our intention sits. We want to improve. We want to be further along, but we are actually still where we are here today. So accepting yourself as you are today, here, as an artist, as an athlete, as someone looking to start something new, accepting that you're a beginner, or you're maybe not a beginner, but you're not where you'd like to be yet. And spoiler alert, we never get to that finish line. We keep learning, we keep improving. Sometimes we take a hard turn and start doing something else. We change our style, we change our techniques, we change our materials, we change our who knows what, you know? But it's an adventure. So if you're a creative explorer, how about you, sorry, I just set up my bird feeder outside over the weekend and I've been like really distracted watching the birds. If you think of yourself as a creative explorer, leave me a comment below that says creative explorer, and that will just tell me that not only are you paying attention, but that you get it, you understand what I'm saying here about it's an adventure. Art is an adventure. Life is an adventure. Every single day we are exploring, we're learning, we're playing, we're discovering. And the more we get in tune and in the flow of doing that, the easier it gets. It gets easy to be like, well, I'm not going to do that thing that I don't really enjoy, that doesn't make me feel good. I'm going to go do this thing. It does bring me joy. Even if I'm not sitting here like completely feeling elated, I know that in general, when I sit down to draw, this peace comes over me. This feeling washes over me that the day is improving. I'm improving. My practice is improving. All right, that is your pep talk for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel like I have so much love I want to give and I want to pass along, because I have been in a place as an artist where I have really needed to hear from other people who are further along in the journey. So I'm at a point now where I'm not super far along, but I'm not way back here anymore either. I do have some really great things to share with you. All right, so next up, I said I would give you a bullet journaling update. A couple months ago, I posted a video here about how I was trying to take all my lists and all my sticky notes and put everything into one journal, to just combine everything into one physical list building device, tool, I want to say. And it's been a little bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. So I actually recorded another episode last week about my bullet journal update, and I scrapped it. I had already edited it. I was ready to upload it like this morning, and something told me, like, hold off. Let's actually think about today and this like pivotal moment in my life where my kids are at school, my husband's at work, I have this fresh chapter ahead of me. And I had actually watched one of Ryder's videos over the weekend, and it was about like restarting your bullet journal journey. And I wish I had watched it before I had recorded this other video, because that was about 2 hours of my life, plus the editing time that I literally just deleted this morning. Yeah, that sounds about right. But his video was really great because it's the perspective I really needed to hear about bullet journaling, because I actually, even though I recorded this whole update, the whole time I was sitting here talking about what I've done in my bullet journal, I was sitting here thinking, I'm not actually doing the bullet journal system. So it feels a little dishonest to be calling it a bullet journal update. Like, are we talking about the journal itself and how you choose to use it? Or are people coming here and expecting me to talk about following the actual system? And I'm not following the actual system. So I just want to be honest that this is a little bit of a trial and error for trial and error. Do you ever say a word sometimes and it just doesn't sound like the word, even though you know it is? Error. Trial and error. I was a theater major. You'd probably never know that. Although maybe, I don't know. But I do want to give you an update on what I intended to do with the bullet journal and what I have the conclusion I have come to. And it's not really a conclusion at all. It's just a continuously flowing process of figuring out what works best for me. And that's also kind of what Ryder says in this video. He was like, if you find that you haven't journaled in a while and you want to pick it back up, you don't have to just start where you leave off. You can just sit and think about where you are in your journey, the purpose of doing a bullet journal and what you want to get from it and how you want to use it based on where you are now. You know, I think people with ADHD are pretty great with like going with the flow and changing directions and trying new things. We're constantly tweaking our own systems to try to make it better and easier and more organized, whether or not that actually happens. So we're pretty good at being like, those rules are for people that follow rules. I'm gonna figure out my own thing. So that's kind of where I am. I did read and tried to reply to all the comments on the last video. If I haven't replied to you yet, I promise I will. So from the perspective of trying to figure out a system that works for me, and this happens to me a lot. Sometimes I have to try very different things in order to come back to what I have found that I really need to do. So this is kind of one of those things where a couple people mentioned how they use their bullet journal, things that they have learned, and I want to share a couple of those things plus things I've learned that I either agree with or kind of figured out for myself over time. But the first big thing was creating an index and this really janky tab system. These are just like stickers that I stuck to the pages and folded in half so that I could have an easy way to like go across and grab the tab I need. So where I'm landing with this is that this book to me feels like a rough draft. I didn't really want to do that, but first of all, the cover isn't really my aesthetic. If you look at all my other journals that I use, can we see a theme here? Very clean, simple. I know the purpose based on which journal it actually is. And this, I should have given it to my daughter, maybe. It is fun and colorful. I love fun and colorful things, don't get me wrong. But the journal itself, I started feeling not super excited to dig into. But I did find that I enjoyed creating sections for very specific things that I want to make lists for. So 3 months or so later, I've decided I do like having this sort of book for random lists that I want to keep as resources, because for instance, a couple of the things that I decided to list out are adventures. So not necessarily adventures I've gone on, but if I see someone mention a place, a hike, a town, a store, a museum, I'm basically building out a list of all these places. So I have, you know, I can turn to the adventure section and just get an idea. If my kids are like, I want to do something, we don't know what to do, I can be like, look at this list of many things and we just have to pick one. And I'll let them do that because I'm not good at making choices. So having a journal that is simply devoted to creating lists like that aren't rolling lists like your day-to-day tasks and planning and stuff like that, but having kind of like my own personal resource for things. Another list that I started making was tracking my books. I have a lot of books on my bookshelf. A lot of them I haven't read yet. Sometimes I loan them out to my mom or to friends. So I want to create a resource of physical books that I have in my house, whether or not I've read them. I also use Goodreads, so that's kind of like my reading tracker, but actual physical book tracker, you know, in case I lend it out to someone, I can make a note and then erase it when I get it back. You know how sometimes it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. So if I'm looking at the list and a title really stands out to me that I might not have seen the actual book recently, I'll go find it. Like if that spark happens, I'm gonna go find the book and I'm gonna read it. A couple people mentioned keeping it simple. The actual bullet journal system was still like a little too much. So really just figuring out how to use a journal that works for you, you know, creating your own system. For me, I was drawn into the bullet journal world by seeing art journals, which may or may not have actually followed the bullet journal system, but I was really intrigued by that. And then I found that art journals really weren't for me, but I still wanted it to be like fun and colorful and pretty. So I actually made the decision to make rainbow pages, which in theory sounds fun and it looks colorful, but in practice, it was so annoying to have to follow this pattern of colors, to have to close my pen cap and pick up the next color. It really messed with like my flow of ideas when I really wanted to just be able to write a list in less than 5 minutes. It actually took a lot longer than that. So if you get easily distracted or your thought train gets derailed or interrupted and it just like completely messes with your flow, my best advice is pick 1 or 2 colors of pens to keep with your journal and just use those. You can doodle with colors when you're, you know, sitting there with free time and you feel like just adding some flowers or whatever to the columns. What are those called? Not columns. Margins. Margins. You can decorate the margins. Decorate, give it a little border, draw on the margin. But the actual like list making, if you find that you really need to get in the flow, stick to 1 color. Keep it simple. All right, that is my big thing on the bullet journal. Moving forward, I'm not gonna try to do the bullet journal system. So I have this journal that I've had for many years. It's actually just physically and aesthetically one of my favorite journals. It's very simple. It's lined, it's not bulleted, it's lined, and it's the Ecolo brand. You can buy one or a set of 4 on Amazon. I've had this one for so many years, and even though it's a soft cover, it's held up so well. I've traveled with it. I keep it on my shelf next to my desk. I pull it out. It's on my bedstand. I put my coffee on it. But this is gonna be my go-to going forward. And actually I'm working on creating my own system, which I really, really want to talk about now, but I need to get it better organized before I really dig in and share that with you. So please be patient with me. When you have a brain like mine, the ideas just start spinning and whirling and you want to share everything all at once. So it's taking a lot of restraint for me to not just sit here and tell you all of my ideas, even though they are not fully formed yet. Very much in the early planning process of this. So hang in there and I will let you know when I have a good update for you on that. But I did want to share that one of the things that I was using a lot of lists for, sticky notes, you know, these pads of paper, these long to-do list pads of paper, I did come across this brand, Rocketbook. They were a Kickstarter a couple years ago and I was intrigued. It was one of those targeted Instagram ads where it came across my feed and I was immediately like, I think I need that. I think that's exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to just jotting notes down and making lists throughout the day and trying to keep a planner. It's not a paper planner. It is a special proprietary paper that they created. It's not a whiteboard, but it acts like a whiteboard. So you have to use these special Frixion pens. They're erasable pens. I didn't believe erasable pens were a thing, but actually my daughter came home from school last year and was like, Mom, Frixion pens, they erase. And I was like, I don't believe you. And she showed me how it worked and I was like, that's great. That's awesome. Let's get some. But these specific pens work on this paper. It's like a smooth paper texture. It's not thick like a whiteboard. It is thin like a piece of paper, but very smooth. And you write your notes, you write your plans, you write whatever. And then when you're done, you can spray it with a little water, like one spray of water. It comes with a little microfiber type towel and you just wipe it clean, like a whiteboard, but it's not a whiteboard. And then the other cool thing about this, they have a couple different kinds of planners and books and journals, but you can also code them and you can scan them to automatically upload to like a Google Drive folder or Evernote or iCloud or iMessage. There's all these different cloud-based storage places where you can link up your journal in a free app through Rocketbook to, you know, write down all your stuff and then upload it to the cloud. So I can make my monthly planner, scan it, upload it to my special cloud spot where I want my planner so I can access it from my phone anytime, and then I can wipe it clean and start working on the next month if I want to. I'm brand new to this, so I'm like really amped about it, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert at this point. It's been about a week that I've been using it. And actually, I will say I used the wrong pen on a couple pages, very minimally, but enough that I was very upset because you have to use the specific pen to be able to wipe it clean. You can't use regular ink. It will not come off. So, yep, I already ruined it, but that's okay. I'm embracing imperfection and I'm letting it be, and I will still continue to use the same planner even though in my mind, I've ruined it. So the last thing I want to talk about with you today is over the month of August, I took a break from posting to Instagram. On the first or second day of the month, I posted 9 posts in a row to create like a little mini website grid on my Instagram, kind of explaining that I was taking those 4 weeks to spend with my kids, to just really enjoy the rest of summer and put all that creative energy and time that I usually spend scrolling and planning posts and making reels and all those things. And really pouring that into my family, myself, and my art. I just real quick want to give a little update on how that felt. It was weird. I'm not gonna lie. I've been using Instagram for 10 years now, and stepping back like that, it was good. The intention was successful because I spent time with my family. I spent time with my art. I spent time thinking about how I want to move forward with my art and my business. So it was a good thing to, you know, take that step back and do a little pause. And I think the problems I had with it were really just me personally feeling so attached to Instagram. I genuinely enjoy it. I enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy seeing what they're making, where they are, the food they're eating, the weird memes. Like, I enjoy it. So not posting every day, I got out of the habit of checking frequently. So I didn't feel as connected, whether it was to other businesses, other artists, or my friends. So there were pluses and minuses, but overall I would say it was a good experience. Hey kiddo. What's shaking?
Mom.
So overall, I do think it was a good idea to take a break. I've seen people take breaks from Instagram before, and honestly, I just think it's generally good for everyone to do once in a while, even if it's for a weekend or a week or a month or whatever. Like, take whatever time you need to decompress and just not think about posting and hashtags and all those things. It is good for your brain to take a break from that way of thinking. And especially if you're a creative, if you're a business owner, we are constantly thinking about what to post, when, how to engage, strategy, all these things. So if you can ever give yourself a break from that, I do think August was like the perfect month for me to do that because it allowed me to enjoy the rest of the summer with my kids. It was a good time of year to not really be worried about engagement and stuff. It's not around the holidays. It's not around any big season that I missed out on. So yeah, I think it was a good plan.
Hi guys. Don't cut that.
Hey. So if you're on Instagram, I would actually love to connect with you over there. My handle is Shannon Sorensen Art. I will put it in the description below, and if you could give me a follow, you can send me a message and say, hey, I found you through your YouTube channel, and then I know to connect with you there. I know it can be weird with like going into people's DMs and stuff, and I do get DMs from people that I'm like, I'm just gonna click ignore on this one. But I would genuinely like to connect with people who either enjoy this content or are also artists, creatives, ADHDers, you know, people that I would like to genuinely connect with. That's about gonna wrap it up for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me here. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can hit the button below, hit the little bell. I know I already mentioned it, but if you really like seeing new videos as they arrive here on YouTube, that's the best way to get notified. And in the description below, you can see where to connect with me on my website. I do have a weekly newsletter that I love sending out with lots of encouragement and inspiration and shop updates, of course, if you want to see more of my artwork. And going forward, I am planning on hopefully doing shorter videos earlier in the week and then maybe a longer form painting video later in the week, depending on what my week is looking like. But as I said, this is a new chapter, new opportunities, new going forward. And if there's anything at all that you would love to hear from me about, if you have questions, you can let me know in the comments. If you have ideas of things you'd like me to talk about or show you or take you on little local tours of some of my favorite museums, there's a whole lot of great stuff like that ahead. So have a great day ahead wherever you are. I hope you are doing well. Don't forget to follow your curiosity. Don't be afraid to get messy. And remember to play. All right, my friends, practice, practice, practice.